What's the one trading strategy that can put you ahead of the market when a stock is about to drop game-changing news? Well, today we're not just revealing it, we're putting it to the test on a stock that could revolutionize the way you trade news. And that's not all, we'll tell you which ASX financial stock could be gearing up for a massive reversal. And if you're holding this major energy player, you'll want to brace yourself because what we're seeing in its future isn't looking too pretty. Buckle up because this is Wealth Within's weekly hot stock tips. With 20 years of experience training over 30,000 traders, we bring you what actually works in the stock market. And joining me today is analyst Pedro Banales, and I am senior analyst Philip Tortevsky. So let's dive straight in. So what is hot right now on the markets? Well, James Hardie Industries is the stock that has released some major news today. Now, Pedro, before we get to the charts, I want to bring up some of this major news because, you know, what we're dealing with, and I think it's an important point, is how to address trading market-sensitive news.
Yeah.
You know, there's options to trade before, there's options to trade after, or I shouldn't say before, I should say once it comes out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's during, depending on what market you're trading. But, you know, knowing how to trade these price-sensitive announcements, and if you're already in the stock, what do you do? That's another consideration.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's edge that can happen in this space.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And there's a lot of volatility that happens when you trade these markets. So let's go in and have a look at the announcement first, real quickly.
So basically, they've come into an agreement to acquire AZEK, combining and creating a leading building products growth platform. So that's an American company, I believe.
On the New York Stock Exchange, yep, they've acquired them, which you know, is, as we said, price-sensitive news for James Hardie. And
that's just from this morning. You can see March 24th.
Yeah, we're recording today, and that is from this morning. And what's interesting about this one, rather than get into, you know, the percentage split and shares and what you get and what you don't get, you guys can read that at home. But what the I guess CEO did say, he said this combination with AZEK is an extraordinary opportunity to accelerate our growth strategy, deliver enhanced and differentiated solutions to our customers, and drive shareholder value. That's the real important part as a trader.
Yep.
It's driving that shareholder value. So let's go and have a look at the share price right now on James Hardie. And I want to start things off on the monthly chart here because I guess the most exciting part for me, and this is I guess the point or the part about news that I want to talk about, and that is oftentimes you'll see, you know, when news breaks like Sigma with the Chemist Warehouse scenario, like IFL, Insignia Financial, a lot of times what you'll see is the share price basically rising before the news happens. So the market has caught a whiff of the news happening, and you're looking at it when the news comes out. Let's just say that's the low and the news comes out on this date. That's when you're looking at it, I would argue, more often than not. Now, we're coming into a scenario with James Hardie where the market hasn't sniffed out this situation just yet. That's exciting because that means there's still opportunity for the retail trader out there. And so to that point, that's my big, I guess, tip right now is have a look at the chart and when you're looking at these price-sensitive news when they come out, what's happening to the left-hand side? If it's run up already, then the market's already factored it in. It's something that, hey, might produce more volatility. You might be able to take a trade out of it, but I'm looking at it from more of a short-term perspective than a long one. When you're looking at something like James Hardie releasing news today, share price is actually falling and the news is good. I mean, it's really good to add growth to the share price moving forward. I think right now we're on the precipice of an opportunity. And that's the exciting part.
You can smell it. Yeah, definitely. Well, it's a good point. I mean, you can use news to ascertain where the position of a company is going to be, you know, in 1 or 2 years' times. And of course, you've got the fundamentals. But then you use the charts to pick where you're going to get in and where you're going to get out. And as you've mentioned, where price has been going before the news. So, and this is exciting. This is actually one of the outliers that price has been falling before this news came out. You would think that there was, you know, some people in the know. We're not going to mention, you know, what type of people would actually be buying into this before this news came out. So this is quite exciting. And these are the levels that you want to be buying it at, right? And you've got a beautiful support level back here in, you know, that low at $45, which could, you know, provide a bouncing ground.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can clearly see that 45 has been strong. But what I've marked these levels here also in red is that, you know, let's take away the news aspect of it because we've covered that. what's quite normal with these stocks, and I've got these black horizontal lines, you can clearly see each time James Hardie breaks through to a new all-time high, it experiences a pullback. I mean, every single time, new all-time high pullback, new all-time high pullback, new all-time high pullback, new all-time high pullback. And the pullback is kind of relative to that move, right? Again, we recently broke through to a new all-time high and we've had a pullback. But look at the strength of this pullback compared to the others. That one there, much deeper, that was COVID. So, you know, we take that away. But the huge run through there, similar run to what we've experienced here, the pullback was much more deep relative to what we've seen here.
And assertive. It was really, wild to the downside, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Whereas here we've got more of that accumulative type of move, which generally speaks volumes to what the next move is up. Yeah. And you know, our students or our traders out there that know what we're looking at right now, they would be looking at this and already have a view in terms of what's about to happen next.
Yeah.
Because this is from a technical perspective, right now lining up to be quite a bullish scenario. And you know, once we go on that weekly chart, we're seeing, you know, this pattern unfolding. If we can hold these lows, as you said, Pedro, and start to break out above these $54, $55 levels, more medium to long term, I think there is another opportunity on James Hardie.
Yep.
And you've got the tailwind of the value add in terms of what the company is doing with the acquisition.
Yeah.
There's a lot of positives right now for this one, which is why it's the hot stock tip. And, you know, something to really be watching on James Hardie right now. And any extra thoughts?
But no, I think that we've got these nice levels there on the chart. If we can go back to it, that you've outlined there, we can just extend that out to the right-hand side. Just keep an eye on it. I think that we could see a bounce. If not, then I would say that the next support level that, you know, we're looking at is around that 38. You know, you could round it off to $40.
Yeah.
But, you know, once this news trickles down, I don't think that people are going to sell into it. So definitely these two levels, watch for them, but this one's looking nice.
Well, here's a question. What if they do sell into it? You know, because sometimes you can see that scenario. It gets sold in.
Sell the news.
Right? And it's good news it gets sold in, but that doesn't change the fact that, hey, there's value being added here.
Exactly.
And so then that makes it potentially even more exciting, but you have to know how to identify those reversals. You have to know how to identify the
structure of how it's getting sold down. Yeah,
to get into the right space. And I love what you've said about that $40. Or the second level of support. If it doesn't hold here, then that's definitely one to watch out for.
That's the next one. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Well, soon we'll get into why Origin may just be done. But before we do that, first we're going to dive into a stock that you should trade with caution. Now, Macquarie Group. So on your screen is the chart of Macquarie. And this one is a caution, but it's a bullish caution. So everyone out there that might be panicking, don't. It's one of the big financial players on the market. And I've got it as a caution, but, and I want to bring up the monthly chart here for you. This one's fallen around 20%, right? And the way it's done it is, to me, I guess the most eye-opening bit. And previous falls have gone around 30% back in 2022. Obviously, COVID was a bit stretched. 2015 was about 30-odd% fall. Again, a company that you can't fault it in terms of providing shareholder value in the long term. It's done it time and time again. It has its spot in the market. It's one of the biggest players in its field. And it continues to do so. Now, we've broken through to a new all-time high, which is not surprising the way we have seen a correction. But to that point, you know, you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, it's coming to a momentum line, which is quite exciting.
Yes.
So moving back to the more sustainable gradient of rise. And the way it's done it, you can clearly see that it's literally just fallen sharply in terms of sellers. This period through here was more buyer interaction, and it kind of gave one of those consolidative type moves. COVID period, just sellers, and look at the reversal. This one through here, just sellers, look at the reversal. Why do I say that point? Well, I say that point because if they're just sellers, you've got to identify, will the reversal be sharp or will it be more accumulative, like, through here, or sharp or not, basically. And I think with this kind of move, the reversal may be sharp. And just to add on top of that, I mean, they're in the previous bull market, if you will, you know, before we saw this bearish market and sidewaysy type move, look at the pullbacks, 15, 16, 25, 37. Why it's so exciting with the momentum line is that it's holding, and I've got these green dots here. Now, these green dots are important because it shows once the sell-off happens, after the buyer interaction, what happens or how strong the buyer interaction is. And that's why I've got this arrow through here. It was a lower move by buyers, couldn't take out the new all-time high. We saw obviously a fall through there. It went on with it, took out that low, and that was the signal to tell us, hey, this is a lot worse than the past. Look at these examples. Sell off, buyers come through, sellers try to get involved again, sorry. There's your trigger to go, okay, this is going to continue into a bull market.
Yeah.
Again, buyers get involved through here after the sell-off. Sellers try to get involved. They can't take out their previous efforts.
Previous low.
And that kind of tells you, hey, we're moving on up. Right now, we're yet to see the buyer involvement.
Yeah.
That's my caution.
Yeah, right. So you want to see what happens now on the right-hand side of the chart, whether we're going to see more of a move up, fails to break above the all-time high, and then breaks below that previous low there. So to draw it for our viewers there, so that previous low, if it gets broken after that move, you'd be thinking, it's looking probably more bearish than bullish.
Spot on.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I explained it well.
You have explained it very well, So I would agree with that. And, the fact that it is holding up above this long-term trend line here, it's good news for now, but we do have to see what that buyer commitment is. But, there was a lot of agreements back here in 2023. So we are likely to see that bounce coming. But if long term, this one could be looking good if it manages to hold up.
Now, for you, that bounce, you just said if the bounce is coming. As a trader, how do you play this? Is it a scenario where you're happy to get involved off that bounce? Is that enough confirmation for you to get involved? Or is it more, hey, you want to see more confirmation here? Or does that not even matter relative, depending on the strategy that you're playing?
Yeah, so you'd have to look at, we provide a very high level, as you know, high level analysis here on the show. What we teach to the students is it's on a whole another level there. So I would be applying everything from the course and all the price analysis that we do on the chart. But if we go back to the chart now, I'll just quickly go to the weekly chart, because this is where I'd be looking at this in terms of a more micro level.
Okay.
So we start the analysis on the monthly chart, and then I'd be looking at these levels here if it does hold up. But I'd want to see something on the weekly chart, something like coming up, testing this previous 210, coming back down and not actually breaking that level, and then trading back up, and then I'd be happy to pick it up around these lows there. And then, I'd see what happens as the price trickles up after that. So I think that there could be a play in this medium to long term.
Fantastic. All right, well, moving on. What's not hot right now in the market? Well, Origin Energy. So let's bring up the chart of Origin. Now, this one got slapped with fines over the weekend. And again, negative sentiment coming through on the stock. But that is not the reason why I think now is the time to really consider. If you're holding it, great. If you're holding it from these levels back in 2021, fantastic. But to me, the market or this stock has come into a level here, and it's the $11.40 level. And rather than be so pedantic about that level, I would argue, anywhere from 1070 all the way up to 1180. But the point is, we've kind of come here now.
Yeah,
we've arrived where basically the market, dating back to 2008, hasn't really found extra value above here. It struggled. It went into a bear market post 2009. And although we've seen, real nice value at about $3.70, that's where buyers thought, okay, it's time to get involved.
Yeah.
Once we start approaching $11, $12, the stock struggles in terms of share price. And if I zoom back all the way to the all-time high, that's been the case. So we're coming into an area now, or a land, that is questionable. And I've also got this momentum line through here that the stock has basically come on board, and you can clearly see it's bounced, hit it, bounced down. Although this month it's supporting the short-term momentum, we do have a negative or a downward type looking month so far. We've opened higher, yet we've closed low. We're still holding. If we start to take out these lows and close below this momentum line on a monthly basis, that would be my first signal to say, okay, maybe we're right in terms of this one's going to struggle anything above $12 for the foreseeable future. Throw on top this momentum line through here. If it doesn't get above here, then I will really not be calling for its case for it to go and attack the all-time high anytime soon.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that $12, it looks like a very strong resistance level, doesn't it? And like you mentioned earlier, the news that they're getting hit with fines, that adds to the confluence. So you've got your technical analysis, plus you've got that news aspect of it, that it's in a dangerous territory at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be if you're in it, you'd probably just be holding it just to see what happens. But if you're not in it, you wouldn't be just jumping in at this stage, right?
Yeah. Did you want to take a look at the weekly real quick to see whether that confluence lines up even further?
Yeah, exactly. So, this pattern here, it looks like it could be a bit of a continuation pattern at the moment. We can see that the weekly bar is for last week closed on its high. So, that's looking strong, but we're not seeing much volume come into it. Ever since back here in 2023, the volume has been relatively flat. So, it does look okay from a technical point, as in, we've got these runs up and then a bit of accumulation and then runs up again. We have seen that time and time before, but it's those overarching levels that you've marked earlier that I'd be worried. So right now, I'd just be putting a, if we've got a rectangle here, this is where we're going to be determining exactly where we're going. This whole box here, any break above that 11.30, we could be going up to that 12. Any break below $10, and we could be coming back down to even that $8 mark.
Yeah, it's just getting a bit choppy for me. It's not really trending nicely. Look at the highs and lows are all over the place. It's not resembling, a nice upward trend like we saw. Look at that.
Yeah.
These kinds of periods, these kinds of periods, look how much cleaner the price action is, when you're rolling in trend. And we're on a weekly chart here. I mean, the monthly chart says it even further. But the other thing before we finish up on this one is, watch this level here. Even if it does go higher, look how strong resistance is at 14. So you've got to weigh up what your risk reward scenario is, even if it does get through there, for more of a medium to long-term play in terms of this space. So watch that news on Origin. Now, if you want more hot stock tips, check out our 10 Trump tariff beating stocks video, and remember to subscribe.